Hey everybody, what's happening? My name is Russell. I am also known as the One-Handed Bandit, right arm, um, or the amputee for hire, or both. I've been called a lot of other things too, but I don't know the etiquette to this whole YouTube or TikTok or whatever. I'm just learning this. I just know that I'm 56 years old. I've been through some major things that you guys, some of you are just going to be blown away and think that I'm just making things up, and I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you about the things that happened to me or things that I've been through or the situations. So any of the things that I'm telling you, the stories I tell you, or the events that I tell you about in my life, throughout my life, is it's true. It's true. It's all true. I don't have anything to gain by lying to you. I'm not going to make up any stories because all with today's day and age, all this shit can be verified anyway, so why bother? I'm just not that person. And I'm hungry. I just got off work. Worked my ass off. It's hot outside. So you're going to have to bear with me. If I'm not supposed to eat, then somebody will tell me on the next video that they're grossed out and I won't do it. I'm just trying to be me. I'm trying to share a little bit of some things that happen. And I want to bring to attention the name of my page. So, I mean, my channel is Wisdom, a Warrior's Wisdom Beyond the Scars. So, warriors have stories to tell. And everything, I've got scars everywhere. I'll show them to you eventually. I got them all over from here, all the way down to my big toe, I swear. So, anyway, all of these have a story to them. And I even had some on here that, can't tell that story anymore. But I've got a lot of wisdom. I'm not a highly educated person. I'm hella smart. I do stupid shit sometimes, but who doesn't? And I've done a lot of it throughout my life. Luckily, I was able to, pull my head on my ass for a while. And by the way, I love Jesus, but I do cuss a lot. So you have to excuse me. These will get better, I guess, because this is like my first one. But I got some cool things to share with you guys. My mom told me, everybody's told me for a very long time, tons of people, that I need to write a book about the things that I've experienced. Some of you may be able to relate to that. But I'm just me. And so I'm going to share with you my opinions on things. I'm going to tell you the stories about the things that have happened to me. And I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'll try to do my best not to say bad words, but you may not like what you're hearing, but you can know for a fact it's the truth. So, with that being said, again, my name is Russell. I am the One-Handed Bandit, or the Amputee for Hire. That's the name of my landscape contracting business out here in Roseville, California. Yeah, I don't know why either. Look it up, you'll find out. So, I'm just going to start with a little bit. Maybe I can just tell you about the past couple years of my life. Let me go back. I don't know really where to start. I really am torn between where to start sharing with you. So, maybe I can just share with you in the now. So, right now, I'm living in a 2-bedroom loft, apartment, whatever, with me and Tonka. It was me and Tonka and Pharaoh, which are my pups. And somebody took my Pharaoh. I won't say anything. Bastards. But anyway, so the reason I'm here is because of some things that transpired in my life. But I'm going to rewind a little bit, and I'm just going to tell you I'm an ex-convict. Okay, I got a 13-year sentence in prison, and was actually convicted by a child molester and a child porn guy. The judge was a piece of crap, but his name is Judge Murdoch from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Look it up. You'll know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I used to sell drugs a lot. I was a thug. I carried a gun. I didn't care about anybody. I'd never been in love. I mean, I had one relationship where I mean, I loved her. She's my daughter's mom. I did love her, you know. We got along really good. We had a lot of hard times. We didn't have shit, man. We were kids, but we lived on love. I mean, we were just living and doing, going forward, I guess. We were just doing whatever and checking things out and experiencing things together. And the gift of gab, I guess you could say, that I have, which you're going to find out, trust me. I do talk a lot. The gift of gab is something I've always had, and things came real easy to me, like sales. I could sell anything. I could sell a blind man a pair of reading glasses, and I'll charge him extra, you know, for a book, and it won't be Braille. So I was a hustler from day one. I joined the military. When I got out of the military, and I ended up here in California, and you know, basically for, I guess, from 19, 20, 21, for around 22, 23 years old, I just got into whatever, you know. I mean, I was just a young guy, and I did a little bit of drinking. I mean, I didn't like to get drunk. I don't. I drink beer, but I don't like the feeling of being drunk. It's just, you'll never see me drunk. So something happened, and I had some of this stuff, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say the D word on this thing or not. Maybe they were gonna, I don't know. But hey, YouTube, wherever I put this, you guys please understand, admins, this is my very first video, so don't block me or throw the video away. Just shoot me a message and tell me what I did or did not do that I should or should not have. All right? But this old boy right here found it. He bought a little something of this or that, and went to his telemarketing job, because back then telemarketing was off the hook. I was making $5.75 a week selling light bulbs. Light bulbs. Fucking light bulbs. That was so wild. For door to order police tickets, firefighters, you know, things of that nature. I'm sure if you're my age or thereabouts, or even older, you'll remember what I'm talking about. So I was making good money, but I got a little something from somebody one time, and I go to where I go to work, and we all take a break, and we're standing around, smoke a cigarette, and you know, somebody has mentioned something to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I got that. Check this out. And they're, oh, I'll give you X amount of dollars for this, that, and the other. And I'm like, really? Like, damn, that cost me like $5, and you're gonna give me 40? I'm down. So that was kind of like my first experience with that. And then next thing you know, I don't want to say her name because I don't have her permission, but my baby's mama, I guess is what they call it. My daughter's mother is what I would prefer to say. My daughter's mother, she got pregnant. We had our first kid the day I turned 23. She was a baby, and I was dealing dope, but oh shit, man, I don't know why you can't just say what you got to say. What's so offensive about what I'm saying? So if you got a problem with it, don't turn me in. Just send me a message. All right, I don't know what else to say. It is what it is. I mean, if you're that offended by the word that I just used, then just don't watch. Anyway, so I started slinging, right? It was super easy. I just go get my stuff from my guy. I'd come back to my apartment. Most of the time, I just sit there, had the curtains drawn open, and just be watching something and chilling out and taking a couple of tokes, you know, and coughing my head off. And somebody would come by and be like, hey, man, blah, 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 blah. And I would just make money. And I remember one time that really, really made me start to think, as a kid now, I'm a kid, that the smart thing to do would be to go away and leave my family, because what I did was too dangerous. And I don't want them to get hurt. Now that's about the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard of right there. Really? Why not just stop fucking selling? You know what? Why take off? Why leave? Why do that? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I was a kid. And it was obviously, and it was one of the worst mistakes I've ever made in my life. But I didn't actually go away until after Josh, my second daughter was born. So when she was born a couple of days, I think it's before or after. I can't ever remember. I always get that confused. After her mom birthday, which is way wild, man, how close that came together. So both of my girls are just absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I made the worst mistake of my life by taking off. You know, if you've got some decisions to make, whether you can hustle and you don't really want to be, you know, in the situation where, because you're addicted to the lifestyle, I kind of got addicted to that. And you got a choice to make between getting a freaking job. Get a real job, bro. Go shovel shit all day if you have to. The people you're taking care of, they don't give a damn what you're doing as long as you're coming home and you're present and you stay in their life. I wish I could totally rewind the clock just to have another chance to do that. I did get a chance in the future to try and to actually experience being a dad, but that doesn't take away from the hurt and the, you know, I guess shitty situations that I left them in because they had to go through life and I wasn't there. So there was a lot of things that happened that they could have used me there. I should have been there and I wasn't. So that was like the worst mistake I think I ever made in my life. I really do. I really think that was it. Well, no. There's one mistake that was the biggest mistake ever, and that just happened about maybe 12, 13 years ago. We'll get to that some other time. But right now we're just talking about a few things with me so you can kind of get to know me. So I went from there, still doing my thing. I was torn between, I wanted to be there, but so much so, I think I stepped in a parking lot one time, built a little fire, or some weird stupidness. But it got to the point where that act, that choice that I made to do that, affected the rest of their lives. But I don't know that they really know how horribly negative it affected mine. Because of the guilt and the shame and the guilt and the shame. The devil gets a hold of us. We don't fight against our flesh and blood. You know, we do more fighting against powers and principalities. Than we do anything else. And that event that happened, that choice I made, I tried to maybe do something different. And maybe I was actually not going to. I was going to come back because I started working. I was cleaning windows for a guy in Sacramento. I was doing the big buildings downtown on the stage, you know, where the guys are swinging back and forth on cleaning windows like this. Yeah, that was me. And I was okay with that. And I was on piecework with this guy. So, excuse me, I need a napkin. So anyway, we started doing new construction homes, which was cool because I got paid a certain amount of money for each home I did, depending on the floor plan. You know, I think that was JB Home and Pulte Homes back in the day. I'm not too sure, but anyway. So I was doing really well. I bought a 76 truck and had my own apartment. And I came home one day and there was some females in the pool and they were whistling at me. And so, you know, I'm 25 by then. Yeah, 25. So I'm 25, you know, and so I went inside the house and I just grabbed whatever I could grab and just threw it in the freaking trash can, and then took it downstairs to take the trash because the trash was right on the other side of the pool. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it happened to be my neighbor that was on the other side of the wall of my apartment, which was upstairs. So she lived upstairs, I lived upstairs, and our walls met. You know, so but we were on 2 different staircases. So she had her friend there, and I guess her friend was checking me out, thought I was hot, whatever. You know, I'm like, hey, let me cook you something to eat or something. Come hang out with me. And so she ended up doing that eventually. I don't remember when, but it wasn't anything. You know, I didn't know her. She had to. I don't know. I'll I get to know you better. I might say some other things, but I just was, you know. I guess, okay, I'm going to go a little bit hood on you. I do have a little bit of that left, but I was just trying to hit it and quit it. And I mean, she's hot. She had really nice legs. She was super tan. She had really long, wavy hair. She's Mexican and Greek. So, whew, man. You know, she came over. We saw each other twice. And we, you know, were knocking boots twice. And the next time she came over, the second time, was the second time, something was going on, and I don't want to share that with you right now, outside the house, and I had a choice to make, and I made the one that I did make, that I should have made. It was a good one, the best choice it was the right choice. And as I'm taking this person home to drop her off, she's like, so that's it, huh? And I'm like, yeah, sorry. I mean, I've known you, I've seen you twice. You know, it is what it is. She's like, well, then you're going to need to hear this. I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. No way. Now, how do I know that's my kid? You know what I mean? I don't know. How do you get pregnant that quick? Granted, I'm 25 years old. My daughter's mother and I were together 2 years before she got pregnant. So we were together about 7 years. And I loved her. I did. I try to say that I wasn't in love with her. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember a lot of things because of an accident that I had. So, but I know that I loved her, and I know that we were happy, even through bullshit. Even though we didn't have a damn thing. We entertained each other. We laughed at each other's jokes. She thought I was funny. She was funny. She still is. You know, we just clicked. So I said, hey, I'm going to go home, chick. I'm dropping your ass off and I'm bouncing. And so you should have seen that one coming. And I didn't have any intention of being with her. I just, like I said, was trying to get some. I'm 25. And so she lays that on me. She said, I'm just going to go get a you know what. And I'm like, what? I'm going to take care of it. I said, no, what? No. So that brings me to this. Nowadays, now this is back then, but I got a question for people. If you want to answer it, you can. If you want to get all butthurt and you want to rant and rave and act all crazy, I will block you from whatever platform you happen to catch me on, and make sure you don't ever do that to me again, because you're not just talking to me. Other people are going to see this and read this. And so if you are offended by what I say and you come at me all crazy, you're going to offend somebody else. You know what I mean? So who's right, who's wrong? So either keep your mouth shut or be polite about it, or just be direct without being a dick. How about that? But it's all about the woman's choice, right? Okay, yes. You have a choice of who touches you, who doesn't. You have a choice. Everybody does. Everybody does. Nobody can make you do anything. Unless it's through physical violence or force. That's different. But nobody can really make you make a choice. You're going to make the choice you want to make. And if that's the choice you make, why don't you ever ask the father? Why don't you ever ask the guy who got you pregnant? Why don't you guys do that? Why don't you ladies do that? How is it not his fucking choice too? How the fuck is it not his choice too? It's his kid, just as much as it is yours. And more so, because it takes more of him than it does of you. And then you got to carry it, but you can talk to Eve about that one when you get there. But we decide what sex the baby's going to be. You know, without us, you can't have a baby unless you do it through, fertilization. But, what fun is that? But in a situation like that, let's say you find out, you tell the person. Now, granted, a lot of guys are just dicks, man. They're like, I don't want no baby, blah, 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 blah. Here, we'll pay for an abortion. Well, you're just a fucking asshole and you don't deserve a kid anyway. And it's good that you're not going to be there for that kid because you're probably going to fuck them up worse. But my point being is, carry the baby, have the baby, give the baby to people who want a baby. People who don't want to adopt. A guy like me at 7 years old who was so fucking damaged. My mom and dad got, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying? They got sold a pipe dream, so to speak. And they had no idea what they were in store for with me. And they were not told about it. So anyway, I digress. So why isn't so let's say I got somebody pregnant, right? Which I did. I got this person pregnant. I'm like, well, no, you don't get to do that. You don't just get to go and do that. What makes you think you have the right to just end the life or get that and do that without even asking me or talking to me or considering me in the picture the whole time? What's wrong with that? Because what? Because it's your body? Okay, but now you've made a choice to sleep with somebody, and now you have another body inside of your body, and there's a third body involved in that, which was the body that was on top of yours or under yours or behind yours, that was helping you have the other body that's inside you. So why don't they have a right to say, hey, no, I don't want to have that. I don't want you to do that. I want to be there. I mean, sure, we just were bumping uglies, but cool, that's fine. But this happened because we did that. We made the choice to do that outside of marriage. And I don't think that I'm cool with doing what we're talking about. The woman's choice. Why is it just your choice? Like, for real. I'm not being an asshole, and I don't want to fight. But maybe it's food for thought for some people. Maybe you should think about that. Don't you know it takes two to tango, right? Because I'm guarantee you, if you had that baby, you're going to be, hey, I need some money. You need some money, don't you? So how is it that you get to make the choice that whether he's going to be stuck with you for 18 years or you get to take something that he actually does want and be a part of, and you just get to do whatever you want to regardless of his opinion? I think that's fucked up. I really do. Because you can either trap him or you can do something that will affect him as well as it does you, because it always has an effect on a person. Always. Anytime, I guarantee you, everybody and anybody you ask that's happened to, there's a residual effect. So these are, sorry, these are just food for thought. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I ain't finna have no more babies. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong for what you think is right. And this is just dumb. You can't tell me that there's Pepsi in this Coke can when I just opened it, unless it's some kind of gag or something. But this is not a Pepsi. This is a fucking Coke. You're not going to sit there and make me think that I'm drinking a Coke. So I'll put you in check for that. But when it comes to the decisions you want to make your own decisions. That's what you want to do, because you've got to live with that. That's something you're going to pay the price for. That's something you're going to have to answer for someday, somehow, some way. And it may be the biggest mistake you ever make in your life. Because a lot of times, when women do that, they realize years later maybe years later they're ready. Well, now they can't, because they went to the wrong fucking doctor. Or there was a mistake, or something happened in a procedure, or something got scraped, or accidentally, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And now you can't have one. And now you're looking to adopt one. See how vicious that is? So have the baby, put the baby up for adoption. Ask them if people help you pay your medical bills. If they don't, fuck, this is America. They give you everything for free here any fucking way, especially if you're a woman or from somewhere else. And especially if you're a pregnant woman. Just think about it first. You know what I mean? Talk to other people who have and see if they regret it. But not the people in your circle. Because the people in your circle are going to tell you what you want to hear. Talk to people who you don't know, who are going to tell you the truth, because they don't know you and they don't have no they don't have no skin in the game, by telling you the truth. All right, so let's move on. So my dumb ass took off, and I started dealing, you know what? And it got to the point where I was balling. I mean, I had money. I was G'd up from the feet up. If you talked to me on the phone, you would swear to God I was a gutter black man from the South, and I was just and that's the way I acted. That's all the people I hung out with were brothers. The N-word was not, I can't say that on here, but I said it all the time. Nobody said a damn thing to me because I wasn't the W word, and you know what that means with being a white guy. I didn't act that way. I wasn't trying to be some like one of them guys that I would hang with. I was literally just being myself, but it was still a mask. I wasn't being me. I wasn't being Russell. I was being Wizard. There's a huge difference between the two of us. And Wizard's not a good person. Wizard didn't care. No, that's not true. I had a heart. I was still me. You know, I mean, I was kind to people when they needed it. There's a lot of things I've seen. So just a real quick rundown of some of the stories you're going to hear. I've been shot twice. I've been stabbed. I've been jumped. I've been beat down with 2x4s. I've been hogtied after being beat and left in a room to be nursed back to health by a streetwalker because they wouldn't let me out of the house because they didn't want the police asking me what happened to me, and they didn't want me telling the police. I've been threatened and told to leave a specific state, and if I ever come back, that they're going to find my body, or they're not going to find my body, that I'll be put in a hole somewhere in Mexico or somewhere between there and Mexico. I have been run over with a car because somebody put a green light on me back in the day, and his little punk ass cousin or whatever thought he was going to take me out, but you know, obviously I'm still here, so sorry, sucker. But he did. I tried to jump over the car, you know, I tried to jump up, but I just kind of missed the timing, let's put it that way. So I went head over heels like this. My Jordans came off in different directions, and I landed on my back on the curb of the road. I stood up and went, where's my Jordans? I grabbed my J's, and I just boom fell right back down. So yeah, that was fun. But anyway, things like that. I've seen some really bad, vicious, violent things. And we'll talk about some stuff like that eventually. But traumatic things that you just can't get. You can't never get it out of your head. The visual is there. It's always going to be there. I literally put myself in life-threatening positions, not because I wanted to die. I mean, most of my life I never did that. But after I had my accident, I did on purpose because I wanted somebody to take me out because I did not want to live the way I am. And so after a lot of things happened, I ended up getting a 13-year sentence for selling $20 worth of you-know-what to an undercover you-know-what. I was set up by this working girl. So, you know, and I sat there for a minute. I was like, man, the minute I get out, I'm gonna hurt that girl, blah blah blah. Or I'm gonna call my girl, who I know she's 6'2". She was a WNBA player way back in the day, big ass girl, and that's who I would call her to take care of my female problems as a as a thug, because I didn't want to put my hands on no woman, you know. But I hook her up to go put her hands on you. That was my logic at the time, because that's how smart I was. Stupid. But after a couple years, you know, and having the time to sit there and think about, you know, I realized why would I do that? It's not. If I wasn't out there doing that shit, nobody could snitch me out. There would be no reason. Hey, Bubba, you want to be famous? You want to be famous? This is Tonka. You'll meet him. So come here. Come here. Say hi. Can you see him? There he is. There he is. There he is. There he is. Okay. So, no, you're not getting my food, sucker. You got a whole bowl over there. Get out of here. So, you know, if you're not out there hustling, if you're not hustling and doing things you shouldn't be doing, you're not going to get in trouble for that. You're not going to get set up. They're not going to have an opportunity to do you dirty and drop a dime on you and all that stuff. Your dumbass was out there doing it, so you get what you get. And, if they'd have caught you with half this stuff that I already, if one or two of the things that I actually did do that I didn't get caught for, I still would be there and I'd never be getting out. So let's just leave that one at that. But while I was in prison, I heard a story. I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to tell you where I'm at now, and then I'm going to end because it's a long video already. There was a lady who came into the prison, and we are allowed to take classes and stuff to get a day or two off our sentence. And they're always positive self-help kind of classes. And we came into class, and this woman had this piece of paper on all the desks, and she looked at me, and like, you could see it in her face that she knew me somehow. I didn't know who she was. But she knew who I was, so she called me by my street name. And she put 2 pictures of these dudes up on the wall. And she said, "Hey, Wizard, you know those guys right there, don't you?" And I'm like, "How the hell you know my name?" Because it's not what they call you. Well, yeah, they did call me that in prison. But anyway, that's beside the point. She said, "Oh, I seen you come over to the Loaves and Fishes down in the homeless shelter over there in downtown Albuquerque. You come in here all the time, roll up with your bump and your tinted windows. You get out looking all snazzy, and you go talk to a bunch of people, and I'd see them give you money, and you'd give them stuff, and you get back in your vehicle and you go away. I know you sold drugs." Oh, shit. Damn it. Sorry. My bad. I know what you were doing. So I want to ask you if you know these 2 guys right here, because I know that they're users of what you used to do. And I'm like, everybody's a user of what I used to do, right? Because I would do whatever would make me money. It didn't matter. Guns, I don't know, what am I supposed to, pew pew, or, H stuff, white stuff, clear stuff, stuff that didn't belong to the person who gave it to me stuff, but I could make money on it. I was down. Truck stops, you know what goes on there. I did whatever it was. She said, "Well, these 2 guys right here," she said, "Let me ask you, do you know what the ripple effect is?" And I said, "No." She says, "So every time you enter somebody's life, or anytime anybody allows you or takes the time to, like you guys are, maybe listening to this, and they spend time with you, or they listen to your whatever, you can create a ripple effect in their pond. So you have a pond, I have a pond, everybody has their own little pond. It's nice and smooth, unless you're throwing your own rocks in there, like I used to do. Cinder blocks, more like it. And when you interact with somebody, if it's in a negative way or even in a positive way, you throw a stone into their pond. Well, you know what happens in a ripple effect, right? It goes in all directions. So every person they interact with, your ripples affect those people. What I mean by that is, I thought I was a good thug. I'll use it at that. I'll use that word. Excuse me. Because I wouldn't take food stamps from pregnant chicks. I wouldn't sell that stuff to pregnant chicks. And I wouldn't take food stamps from anyone who had kids. So I'm a good, you know what, guy. So I never thought of it this way. She says, "Well, Wizard, what did these people do to get the money to buy what you have?" I don't know. I mean, I do, some of them, but it depends on how well I know them. Like the girls and stuff, I knew a lot of them very well when it came to, what they did. I'd have to go drive there all the time and do stuff and drop stuff off. So I knew that. But other people, I don't know what you're doing to get that. And then she goes, "Well, what do they do when they get loaded?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, when they partake in what you give them, how do they act?" And I said, "I don't know. Why are you asking me this?" She said, "Okay, everybody turn the picture over." We turned the picture over, or turned the paper over, and it's a picture of an dead autopsy baby that was about 2 years old. And I was just like, and I can see that in my head right now. I can literally see it in my head. Like I said, there's things you can't never unsee. And that was one of them. And she says, well, Wizard, since you know those guys and you've gave them stuff, you know, you guys did a transaction, whatever. She says, you know who that little girl is right there? And I said, no. And she says, that is the guy on the right. That's her uncle. And the guy on the left is her mom's boyfriend at the time. And what do you mean at the time? They beat and you know what that baby to death. High on CARCK. You know what I'm talking about. And she's like, how do you know you didn't give them that? And they went and did that. And I'm like, hey, I've been locked up for 3 years so far. This was just, a couple of years ago. It wasn't me. She said, that's not my point. She says, how do you know what people are going to do when you give them what you give them, how they're going to act and what they're going to do to get more, or when they are? And it just, it crushed me. Like, it took all my street hustle away. Like right then and there, I'm done. I just couldn't, because I have daughters, Maybe I was an absent father. Maybe I was a loser dad or whatever. But I loved my girls. I loved children. I loved them, and I wanted so much to be there with them. I just made the wrong choices, and by the time I realized there was so much guilt and shame that I could never bring myself to bow my head and come down and come, with my hat in my hand. And maybe it was pride, but I think it was mostly just guilt and shame. I was too ashamed of myself to do so. Anyway, so when I heard that story, that ripple effect pond thing goes over and over in my head. Every person you interact with, whether it's negative or positive, you're going to affect their life in some way, shape, or form. Now, that doesn't mean when you walk by somebody at the mall and you say, hey, how you doing? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you interact with them. Like, you meet a girl at a bar. Or you meet a girl at the pool. You cook her some spaghetti dinner. And you take her in the back, you do some little something, and she ends up with a baby. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So every interaction you have with somebody will affect another person, because now not only did it affect that person, like those two guys affected that little girl, but they affected the mother, the grandmother, the grandfather, the uncle, everybody. And then all of the people in their family as far as their immediate family, like their moms, their dads, or whoever they had as family. You want me to rub your belly? Okay. They affected their lives too, because now their kid is in prison. They got to go and they put money on their books that they probably don't have, and they got to go visit and take their time to do that, and they worry about their kid ending up dead, getting shanked or stabbed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everybody you interact with, you affect, you throw some type of stone into their pond. So my recommendation is to make sure you find the biggest stone you can find, and you put love on it and kindness and appreciation, and you toss that bad boy in as far as you can get it. That's my recommendation to you. But that's when I stopped, and that's when I made the decision to no more, never again am I going to do that. I'm never going to deal again. I just won't do it. And I never have. I sat in my cell and I started praying and crying and begging God to learn, to know what it was like to fall in love and know what it was like to be loved. For me. Not for what I had, not for my boom, not for my ride, not for my money or my stuff or where I lived or my you-know-what. Not for that, but just because I'm me. Somebody to love me because I'm me. To find something in me that they just found irresistible, And I wanted to know what it was like to be wanted and loved by someone without a transactional situation happening. Because back in them days, y'all don't get offended when I say this, my idea, I haven't been on a date, I don't know how freaking long I've been on a date. I mean, my date up until 2013 from 1993, 1993 or 92, whatever, that meant 20 something years. My idea of a date was, hey, what's up, girl? bitch, get in. That was my idea of a pickup line. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was. I'm not trying to be cool or be funny. I'm just being honest. I'm being truthful. That was it. And it was always a transactional thing. Hey, I hook you up, you hook me up. Because then I don't have to worry about hurting your feelings. Because you act crazy in my house or I lived in a hotel, by the way, for 17 years. Different ones all over the place. For about 17 years off, unless I was locked up in the state hotel or county hotel. I lived in hotels, and if you got crazy with me, I'd toss your ass out. Bye. You want to argue over something stupid? Bye. And that's how I never got involved. I never let this happen. I never gave this to anyone. And that was the only thing I had, through all my travels, after all said and done. That was the only thing I still had was my heart. I've always had the same heart. Yes, I can put a whooping on you and with a backhand of a handle of a you know what. Yes, I can, not give a damn what happens to you, where you go, what you do. Yes, I can cuss you out. Yes, I can call somebody up and have your butt whooped. Yes, I'll whoop your butt myself. But I had my heart for people, I guess you could say. I still have the same heart. That wizard was a facade. That was just an act. That was just a wall, a mask that I put up because I had to earn my street cred the hard way. Trust me. A white boy in a new place, a new face. Trust me. I had to go through some shit. But nonetheless, I guess when I left, I was able to. There's some other things that happened before. We'll get to that some other time. But I was able to get here, and I rented a room in a sober living home before I actually got here, just to make sure that I would stay around people who were like-minded. They were being clean and they were not drinking and doing the right thing or trying to do the next right thing. Because the best of the best of the best of us, no matter who, the most wonderful person you've ever met in your life, you just think hung the moon, I guarantee you that some bitch has made some really bad mistakes. And if you knew about them, you might change your opinion of them. But that's neither here nor there. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does stupid. Smart people do dumb shit. Dumb people do smart shit. Bad people do good things, and good people do bad things. But thank God I stopped talking like a brother. I stopped sagging my pants, dressing like a thug. I didn't deal drugs. I changed my tone of voice, the way I spoke. I'm sure you can hear it sometimes come out of me a little bit, but I changed everything, including my personality. I had to change the way I lived my life, the way I thought about things, the way I felt about myself, and I had to try and figure out a way to see a future for myself. So, I just was doing my thing, man. I ended up becoming the manager of that sober living home. Not too far after that happened, I met what became to be the most horrible person I've ever met in my life. And instead of getting 13 years of my life, she should have got about maybe 13 minutes because I still would have hit it. But I should have never made that mistake. That was the worst mistake I've ever made in my life, was being with that individual, because that was a very horrible person. There's a ton of people that aren't going to believe that. If you see this and such a sweetheart. Okay, sure, pal, whatever. I got some writings, I got some letters, I got some texts, I got some shit to show you otherwise. And I have some scars. And I have a shattered business, heart, and life. So, because of the decisions of that person, my life, because of my decisions, I ended up being with that person. I raised both of her boys as the dad. They both had straight A's all through school. I made them do their homework, regardless of what else was going on. I don't care what you got going on. You do your homework first. You got chores to do? Okay, go do your homework first. And it better be right. You better make sure you show up to class when you're supposed to, because that's important. That's a very important thing. Because especially nowadays, you can't do shit unless you're going to trade school. And if you don't have an education, man, go to a fucking trade school, bro. Do some work with your hands. Don't be hustling, bro. Change your life. Change your way of life. Because you know where you're going when you're doing what you're doing. Eventually, you're going to end up in a body bag or in a freaking a cell. One or the other. You know, I've almost ended up in both of those things. The one many times. And I did, you know, the other, both of them, I guess. I was there in and out. But don't be a shit stick, is what I'm trying to tell you. If you surround yourself with good people, good things will happen, man. If you're an addict and you're just ashamed of yourself, or you've run away from your family, or let's say I met a girl. I'm going to tell you that story some other time. I'll tell you that story. It's already been almost an hour, and I'm tired of talking, and I'm so freaking hungry. I want to eat this food so bad. I put some of this right here on there. Screw you, Hillary. That's the shit right there. That makes everything taste better, baby. Except for coffee and Kool-Aid. So, I'm just going to leave you guys with this. You know, there's a song I want you to listen to. Look it up. And I really appreciate it if you would subscribe, I guess is what this is called. I've only done Facebook, and I'm not good with electronics. I'm sure you know. I'm just trying to, you know, make some things. I just want to talk to people. Look, let me put it to you like this. Hey, man, get your head out your ass. Stop hustling, you know what. Stop pimping, you know who's. And don't be a Captain Saver, you know what. Stop going to the club. There ain't no, your homies ain't gonna be there for you when you're shackled and wearing orange suit or stripes or pink underwear, whatever. When you're in there, and if you really like men, if you really like dudes, and you like living with dudes and sleeping next to dudes and smelling their farts and watching them scratch themselves, keep doing what you're doing, because you'll end up there. You'll get to see about 150 of them. You know, you'll get to see as many as you want. So if you like guys, keep being a thug. You'll get to go spend as much time as you want to with them. If you want a life and a wife and a one with crime-free life, you ain't gonna get it hanging with your homies if that's what y'all are doing. And you may think it's cool, it's part of your culture, whoop-de-whoop, oh, it's all good. Man, I sit there in jail and I watch these cats. They used to piss me off so bad because I was alone during all of these things. I spent every Christmas, holiday, birthday, defeat, success, everything by myself. There was nobody there to help me. And when I lost my arm, I'm not going to tell you what happened with that, but nothing, nobody, me, and Linda. And I'll tell you about Linda next time. That's a good one, because I already recorded a story about her, but I didn't like it. So now I'm glad I did what I did there. Because Linda, and it's the most beautiful person I have ever seen. I've never met her face to face in person, but I have talked to her 1,000 times. And maybe some more than that. And that girl's got my back 100%. And she's probably absolutely exhausted. So anyway, y'all, I love you. You're appreciated. You're worthy. Don't let nobody ever tell you anything different. No matter what you're going through right now, you can always start over. You may not ever get the life back that you had, because I had a badass life for 13 years. I was so proud to make clean money, and I let some you-know-what destroy it. Just took it all. And I'm like, and it's devastated me. For the past year, I've just been a broken man. And that's just the truth. And I'll tell you about that some other time too. But just pray for me. I'll pray for you. My name's Russell. And thanks for just having another day in the life of Russ Prophet. You know what I mean? Thanks.